Hello, this is Corey with Creative Habitats Landscaping, going over a couple of the details of the estimate that I sent you. In this presentation, we're going to talk about the back screening, talk about how to improve the look of your property by simply changing the way that your maintenance company does maintenance, some pruning and some improvements around the pool. So first of all, years ago when this property was built, Leland cypress was one of the best screening plants there are. Unfortunately, Leland cypress has developed as a blight, as you can see through here, and that is going to be taking out all of the Lelands that are along your property line right here. This is where it started, but there are signs of it working its way all the way down through here. You can see perfectly good foliage here, but this is where that blight is beginning to infect these trees. And it's not just in a couple places throughout that back screening. You can see where Leland cypress are dying and just starting to fall over and whatnot. So what I recommend on this is that all of these trees I think it's about a 500-yard long run of Lelands, that these be cut and chipped. The reason why we would chip them is because it will cost less to chip them than it will to haul this off. The chips will also feed the soil, and they'll be uptaken by the next generation of screening plants that we put here. Now, there's a couple of recommendations of plants. One would be green giant arborvitae, which would look almost exactly like the Leland cypress that you see here. The other one would be a Nellie R. Stevens holly, a little bit slower growing, but over the years that's proven to be a very resilient plant. And my number one recommendation would be live oaks. And the reason why, you can put fewer of them here, which saves you money, and is a very, very long-standing plant. So, but this is just another shot where you can see where that blight is affecting every part of this screening through here. Next thing I want to highlight is how to change the way that your maintenance company does maintenance. Every year people call me and they have erosion in their yard, and I point out to them, you see where they don't blow or rake up the leaves, and I always go, see how this area right here is not eroding? Well, all that you have to do is change the way that you do your maintenance. So this is something that I passed on to give to your maintenance company. Here we go. Please pass this message on to your maintenance people. What we see here with these leaves is perfect. Do not mow this. Do not blow this. What is going on right here is the way nature meant the ground to be maintained. And when you mow this, when you blow this, you're going to create the problem that we had to fix over here. Leave this alone. Outside of picking up sticks, do not do anything to this area. Let me show you something. So this drain gate right here, we recently installed this. The old one was covered with about 5 inches of sediment that had all eroded from here and covered up that drain grate. That's how much soil you have lost. And if your maintenance company will simply work with nature and not against nature, that problem will almost be eliminated. So other places, so in here, this tree was full of leaves, and if they had just let the leaves fall and then let them stay here, you would not have roots showing. You would not have these areas of dirt showing. The thing that makes a landscape look good is a crisp line of distinction between turf and between beds. And whenever they do this, if you look in here, you see how there's sort of this ambiguous line. Well, that's what makes this area look bad. If they would just have a crisp line between leaves and between grass, it will look so much better. Same thing, you can see the roots in here. Just simply take these leaves, blow them into this area, work with nature, not against nature, and it will be so much better. The leaves, these leaves break down, they feed the soil, They keep the soil from eroding, and they lock moisture into the ground, which helps your tree grow. So whenever maintenance companies eliminate the leaves in here, they're working very hard at doing something very, very bad. Again, you can see the roots exposed. Why? Because maintenance companies remove the leaves from here. So just another example, the same thing. Other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the pool area. So this is all pampas grass. Another name for pampas grass is sawgrass. And the reason why it's called sawgrass is because if you brush up against you, it can cut you. And I know this from experience. You can see here along the pool, a lot of this is dying. And you can see how all of these recliners are pulled away from this. The reason why is it's terribly uncomfortable to brush up against this and get cut by it. So my number one recommendation is to remove the sawgrass and replace it with something maybe like a gardenia that will have fragrance. And if the leaves were to happen to grow into this area and you brush up against it, it's not going to cut you. So again, leave the leaves down. It'll make your life better. Other things, whenever this landscape was put in, these trees were small and they weren't casting shade. They use Bermuda grass. Now, the thing about Bermuda grass is it's got to have full sun. If you walk out on a Bermuda grass yard and you stand there for too long, when you move, your shadow will have killed that Bermuda grass. What I recommend doing is in places where shade is going to impact the grass, replace it with emerald zoysia. It looks almost exactly the same as Bermuda grass, but it's much more tolerant of shade. And you can see here how poorly that grass, that Bermuda grass, looks as a result of the shade. Lastly, you have an irrigation system, which is probably a great irrigation system, but it's not working right now. It is so important in maintaining the curb appeal of your landscape that your irrigation be maintained. Your landscape is the attire that your property wears for a job interview. In other words, when people walk out here and they look at this property, they're evaluating what that property looks like. And whenever your plants aren't healthy, it's like showing up to a job interview not well dressed. So I recommend that we put in some time to evaluate your irrigation system and see what it's going to take to get that running again. Lastly, having defined spaces between one plant variety and another plant variety is very important to the curb appeal of that property. Either we can do it or your maintenance company can do it, but pruning this so that there's separation between this will do a lot to enhance your curb appeal. So if some of the areas that I've highlighted to you are of interest, let me know, and I will spend time producing an estimate for you on what it will take to enhance this property. Thank you so much, Corey with Creative Habitats Landscaping.